and welcome to Manny's Makings. Today we are going to have some fun. Halloween is fast approaching, so I thought I would start making some Halloween beaded videos, wire stuff, whatever. So I was playing around with the idea of sugar skulls, and this is square stitch, and so I made a couple of different ones. I don't think it really matters when you're wearing Halloween jewelry that they match. Um, so I'm good with this. One of them doesn't have the longer chin. This one has a longer chin. So I'm going to show you how to make these, and I'm going to sort of explain what I did. And then we're going to go from there. So just a quick reminder, some business that below the show more button, under the tab below, you're going to be able to see a full list of the materials that I used, including the colors that I used, especially if I have the colors. So everything that I've used to make this video. You're also going to see links to my Facebook page and to my Patreon page and things like that. So definitely consider becoming a patron and helping me out so that I can continue to afford to provide these wonderful videos for you. I would love to do that, and patrons get all kinds of extra little special things going on there. And if you connect with me on Facebook, if you friend me, then you are more than welcome to post your pictures of anything you made following one of my videos. So if you do this video and you make these earrings in your own colorway, have some fun with it, you're more than welcome to friend me and then post it on my page so others can see what you've been up to, and I'd love to share that way. I only use it for my YouTube channel, that particular page, so there's nothing personal on there. We can have some fun and talk to each other and communicate, so that'll be great. But anyways, yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so some of the things you're going to need is I've got 5 different colors of beads. So I've got white, and this one's I'm going to use orange instead of the sort of reddy color that I used in these ones, just because I felt like changing it up. I have some purple beads. These are all 11-ohs, and they're all Tohos, and these ones they're called sour apple. I love the color. And then I've got some jet opaque matte beads. They're all round Tohos. I got a bunch of them on sale, really good deal, so I'm happy with them. So let's get started. You're also going to need some Wildfire, and I'm using 006 in the white color, and I have a size 10 beading needle. I have some jump rings that will fit through my size 11 seed beads, and I have some ear findings. Okay. So what you're going to do is you have to make yourself a chart. So I'm going to show you this and you're going to think, what the heck? Okay, so what I did is I just took a pencil and I just made some circles and, sort of equally spaced. Now, I did use the lines of this paper rather than graph paper, and so I figured out how wide I want to go, 1 wider, 2 wider, and so forth all the way up, and then I started to narrow it down a bit to make it look like a skeleton. And then I thought about sugar skulls, and so I wanted to have something up here that sort of looked like a flower, and then the first one here I did with a cross in the middle. See how there's a cross in the middle, just like this one. And then I wanted to have the color around the eyes, and then I did the green, the sour apple there, and then I did a black in the center. And then that was the black nose and the red mouth. And I wasn't totally happy as far as total sugar skull with this one, so I wanted to change it up a bit. So I did that one, and all I did was made the little pattern for the chin here so I could sort of see what I needed to do with the chin to change the chin around. So let's just show you. So that's the chin on the bottom. So it looks like they sort of have flowers on the head and something on the chin, and I like the darker eyes on this one better around the eyes itself. It makes it look more like a skull. So I'll probably do darker eyes on the next one. So that's all you do, is you just make yourself your own little doodiggy, your own little pattern, so that you can come up with what you want. But I will let you know that when I start my pattern, I need to start at the widest row, and I have 2 additional rows that will need to go on. So I'm going to leave myself enough beading thread that I could come back, thread a needle on that end, and finish these last 2 rows. It's easier to start square stitch if you have the same amount of stitches, and I do for these 4 rows, so before I have to decrease. So I'm going to do that. It'll set up my little block and I'll be good to go. So I have total wings, like a really, as far as I can stretch, wingspan of this on my needle, and it's exactly the right amount. And so in that particular row, we'll do a combination of the 2 things. So in that particular row, I had 2 of whatever flower color I wanted. So let's make these ones, the flowers, oh, we'll make them orange. So yeah, we'll do purple flowers on this one. I'm doing them different every time. So I need 2 purple, 2 white. That's the fun of sugar skulls, is that you can play around with them as much as you want. I'm going to do orange for the center cross area, because I'm going to do this one with a cross again. 2 more white, and then 2 more purple. So the only thing I'm changing from this, well, this model is actually with the red, but I'm doing it with the orange. So let me zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing. As you can see, I have 2 purple, 2 white, 3 orange, 2 white, and 2 purple on my thread. And that's my first row. That's the 3rd row down on my little pattern that I made. And I have about 16 to 18 inches of my thread, my tail end thread. There's the tail end. You can see it with no needle on it, sitting off to the side, and I'm going to use those for the top 2 rows when I get there, and to put on the 1 bead that I'm going to be putting my jump ring through. So you have this like this, and then what I like to do is I wrap it around my finger a couple times and then bring this around the top finger. I'm just tensioning it is all I'm doing with it, and it's being persnickety, but that's okay. I will leave those other ones there. And I just take it and start my process. So with this one, my next row in this case is a white. So my first one on square stitch, what a square stitch is you're going to come down 1 bead, you're going to come around and back. Make sure this is focusing where I want it to. So with the square stitch, what you want to do is you're coming down 1 bead, you're going to put another bead on, and then you're going to circle back around and then back up again. Now I'm going to teach you slightly, I'm going to do that method, but I'm going to do it in a way that I don't have to do a final. If you've done square stitch before, you don't have to do a final pass back and all the way back down again and back, you know. So I have the white bead on my needle, and I'm going to come around and pull this around, and I have a lot of thread right now, which is then going to get caught on my fingers, which is pretty typical. Okay, I only want to go around the 1 bead. Here we go. And I'm just going to pull. And what's going to happen is they're going to sit side by side. See how they're side by side? And I'm just going to bring this around so that it's going to pull on my tail thread and tighten everything up on my grip here. I'm just changing my grip around. This is the hardest part of this whole thing, is getting this started. Okay, so now that I have this like this, I'm going to come back up the white from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to come back up the white from the bottom and pull my thread through, which is a lot of thread. And I have this. So I have this little circle around piece here. So my next one is a white one as well. So I'm going to get a white bead, just use my arm, and I'm going to come into the purple one, which is the next one, and I'm going to go down through the 2 of them. On the ones I'm holding on the thread that from the first grouping, and then I have the 2 white ones on this side, and I'm going to come back up through the 2 white ones. So I came down, now I'm going to come back up, and that's a square stitch. So I'm basically making a square, and I'm going around and around and around. So my next one in this particular pattern it shows the outside ring of the eye, and I've decided I want black there, so I'm going to take a green one for this case, and I'm going to go down the one beside the one that's the next one loose, and I'm going to go down just through 1 more. So I'm going down through 2 instead of the 3. So I'm always going to go down through 2 and then come back up through 2. And you have to be careful that you bring your thread across, that it doesn't get caught. So you want it to come up through these two. So it's coming up through these two here. So I'll show you what I have on my needle. Just a second, I'm just tightening everything up. So this is what's on my needle. So I started with the first one, put a white one on, came down through the purple through here, and then back up again. Then I added this white one, went down through the two, and came back up. Then I added the green one, went down through the two, and came back up. So next color is a white. So let me just move a few beads so you don't have to look at my hairy arm as I go across the thing. So I need the next bead in the pile, so I don't have any beads showing. So there's my next bead in the pile. I'm going to come down through the bead, through the two beads, because I like to go down through two, and then back up through two. You see that sits beside it. Now that I can hold on to the bottom beads, it makes it a little easier. Now see how this one's being persnickety, doesn't want to go there. I'm just going to stick my thumb over top to make it go up the two. And by holding onto the bottom beads, I'm also blocking the thread from getting caught around the beads and catching in the wrong place. So I'm pulling upwards to tighten, and everything's tightening up nicely. No problems. So I'm just following my pattern. So next one's a white one. So I have two white ones. I'm going to go down two, same as I've been doing, and up two. And of course it's being, this first two rows is the hardest of the whole thing, and then the rest of it gets much easier. Okay, so then I need to have my orange, which is what my little cross on his forehead is going to be made out of, and this is the bottom side of the cross. So I'm going to go down through two. So, reminds me of herringbone when I do this. That's what it reminds me of. I only ended up going up through one, so I got to go through the second one. There we go. So I went up through two. And the next two are white. I'm just bringing the next bead down one at a time. I just thought this would be a fun little Halloween thing, but you also could put a peyote strap or a brick stitch strap on it, or a right angle weave strap on it, and turn it into a ring. I think these would make great rings, little fun rings. So as you can see, I'm just putting the next bead on and going up and down, pulling straight up to tighten it up. And I'm keeping it tight. Now this is thread intensive, and it's stronger than heck, and it doesn't fall apart. It's really hard if you make a mistake to back out your thread, and that's just something you need to know as you're doing this. If you tend to make a lot of mistakes, go slow, because you're going to have trouble. So I need a green one now, so I'm just trying to not totally block everything. I need the next one down through two. I have the green one on my, so I'm on the other side where the eye is starting. And then I have two more white ones. So pull my purple one down. And then I have one more. My last purple one. So each time I'm going down through two and back up through two. Oop, caught her on my finger. There we go. And up through two. There we go. And I can finally let go of this death grip on this hand. So I'm going to just pull them both up straight, flat, and tight. I'm just taking the threads and pulling everything, making sure she's nice and flat and straight. Now I just take my tail and move it out of the way. Now I'm going to flip my work. It's symmetrical. This pattern is symmetrical, so it's easy to do that. If you're not working symmetrically, you could do it the other way, but I have a really hard time sort of spatially figuring out the process of doing this when it's not that way. So we're ready for the next row. So the next row has one white. And I'm just going to continue doing this. And I may speed it up at some point, but not at the moment. So I'm going to just move some of my beads where I can access them. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I just move my beads around. And now I'm just doing the same thing. I'm going down through 2. So I'm going down through that middle row, down through 2. And then I'm going to come back up through 2. And I think I missed one. Yes, and I did. I didn't get that second one on the bottom there. Didn't feel right when my needle was going through. And then back up through 2. And tighten it up. And now I'm ready for a black one. You're going to see this is the top of the eye, so I'm going to go down through 2. And this gets a little harder because you have to sort of dig your needle into the right place. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but I dug my needle into the green now, so I need to get it between the 2 whites. So that I'm only dropping down 2. And up. And then I need another green. Down through 2. So these are the pointy tips of the eyes. So if I show you on this one, I'll grab the needle to show you. This is what I'm doing. This is the first row that I did. Sorry, the first row that I did, and this is the second row that I did, and this is the third row that I'm doing right now, is this row right here. So I'm right at the tip of the eye here, and then I'm going to do the next row and the next row. And if you want to pause this and freeze this, you can count the beads. Let me even bring it up even closer and see if I can get it to focus perfectly for you. There you go. So you can sort of count the beads. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in the widest rows, then 10 in these 2 rows, and then 9 in these 3 and this row at the very top, 9. And then I have, in this one, I have, wait, this should be 7. So this is 9 and this is 7. So it's 11, 9, and 7. 7, 7, 5. And then in the one with the chin, I only did 3 at the bottom of where the chin was. So, you know, so it's 7, 9, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 9, 7, 7, 7, 5. Okay, so that's how many beads you need to do. So you can, if you guys have paused this, you can write out your own pattern or use graph paper and color them in. You and your kids could have fun coming up with your own color combinations. You could definitely put this on the chain if you wanted to. Put a bunch of them. You know, you could bead them together like this in a long group. Because this is, you know, I could just drop down and do 5 and then increase, you know what I mean, and then continue doing these different skeletons and make a bracelet out of them. So yeah, this is, you have lots and lots of options here. So, okay, so I'll be back when I get most of this done, when I get the straight part done, and I'll show you how to do a decrease. Okay, so this is where I'm at. I'm ready to do the decrease. So as you can see, those are the eyes that are coming up. That's the top of the cross, and this is the bottom of the flowers that will be on the skull. This is my tail, the one I'm waving around. So this is what you've got so far. Okay, so I'm ready to do the decrease. All I do is I need to maneuver my thread so it's coming out here. And if I go back up, then it's just going to undo what I just did. So I tend to come up 2 beads this way, 2 or 3, whatever my needle wants to go through comfortably. Well, there's one. Let's see if I can get it to go through a second one. Just the bead by itself. Now this is a pretty tight weave, especially when I pull it really tight. It's really good and firm material. It will hold up to a lot, just so you know. Okay, doesn't want to do that. Okay, I got my needle. I pulled it back out. Got my needle in the 2 beads. Don't know why it was giving me such a hard time. And then I'm going to come back up. And because it's in the 2 beads, I'm going to come over straight across, and I'm just going to come down 1 bead. Okay, and normally when you do square stitch, you tend to go all the way, like when I finish this row, I would have gone all the way up this row and then all the way back down this row. And because I'm doing that, instead of just 1 bead and then around and then add a bead, you just go around the 1 and around the 1 and around the 1. I don't have to do that. And by doing that second pass of thread, I actually end up with 3 threads, because on every bead. So because of that, I don't need to do that extra pass, and it makes it a little easier when I'm trying to end off my threads and things like that. So whatever works for you. So I'm out between the 2 beads now, so now I'm ready to decrease. So my next row is the bottom green that needs to go on the thing, but there's a white first. So I just go down the 1, just like as if it was a beginning of the row, and go back up. Just pulling to tighten, and then I'm going to do my bottom green. So this one I come back down 2 again. So now this green one has like 5 passes of beads. You can use delicas for this too easily, and delicas give you a little bit more room for more passes of threads. If you're worried about that, you can also use bigger beads. You could do these with the kids at school, or as a craft project after school, with pony beads, and they'd be fun, and you can turn them into like things they hang off of their backpacks. So yeah, you can have a blast with these. These are pretty simple. It's just getting a hang of bringing your thread around and around and around and around and around in circles. It's basically all you're doing. It's a square stitch. You're going around in a square because the beads turn it into a square. So now I have the black nose. So I have 3 on this level of the black nose. So down 2. So you can see I sort of bend my fabric as I'm working my needle. The fabric does bend both ways. See, it's pliable, but it's not going anywhere. You can't pull even the starter bead here that hasn't been tied on or anything, and no knot or anything, it won't come off. So it's a really sturdy way of creating things. So that's all you do when you decrease a row, is you just find your way to a bead below. You can run your thread if you want. If I wanted to, I could have ran my thread and then back up here and then along the bottom and added the bead, but it doesn't quite work as well. I don't like it. I don't like the way the bead sits. Again, I'm trying to get my needle in, and then I bend my fabric to get through the 2 beads. And then I do another white one, and then a green one, and a white one. And as you can see, I started with a wingspan. My thread's getting quicker and quicker going through these, and that's because my thread is getting shorter and shorter fairly quickly. To do a whole bracelet of this stuff would take you, if one of these little heads takes you a wingspan, you can think about a bracelet. These are, I'll measure them in a minute, and we'll see how wide they are, or how big they are. Now you can use Nymo if you want. It would be a little less expensive than doing them with the Wildfire, but whatever works for you. So now I'm going to flip it over so that the thread's back at the bottom again. And again, I need to do a decrease. So again, I need to take it up through 2 beads. This time it's my green and black one. I can go through 3 beads if that's where it wants to go. There we go, through 3 beads this time. That's fine. So I got through those 3 beads in that second row. And then I need to come down 2 so I'm coming out of the right place. It just adds an extra thread in that 3rd bead from the top, in this bead here, that I wouldn't add if I just came up to 2. So I'm coming out of the right space again, ready to add my next bead. And in this case, this entire row is white. So pretty simple. And you got to remember to only go around the one bead for the first one. And then the 2 beads from then on. Come on. And I'm just wiggling, trying to get it in the right spot. Back up through the 2. You can get away with a little bit of not being uniform, the beads not being uniform, but it will affect in how the material will still be sturdy, but it will affect the, you know, if you want this to be square on the sides like this, then if you put a bigger bead for the eye, it's going to pooch out the side. So, you know, give it cheekbones or something. But, you know, you have to play with that. Once you learn the basics, you can play with the basics, but you got to learn the basics first. And that's just practice. Just do it. Just do it. I know that's a Nike slogan, but I'm not sponsored by Nike. That would be funny. So you just need to make sure you don't skip any beads, that you do every one of them. Go through the 2, making sure that's where it's supposed to be. Another one. I know I need to get to finish off where the green bead is. And my tail is wanting to get caught, so I'm just fixing that. There we go. It's wanting to knot itself up at the top where I've left it. And straight up. And one more and finish this row. There we go. Okay, so now I don't have to decrease again until the final row, and you already know how to do that. You've seen 2 of them now. So I'm going to just show you what this one is. I'm going to actually do the mouth in black. I think I want this mouth in black. So that was the row I just did. So next row is just the 1 white, and then I'm going to do the 5 black and 1 white. And then the following row is just the same as the row I just did, and then I need to decrease 1 and just put in the 5 beads. And when I finish that 5 beads, I'm going to come back and show you what I do at the end of the thread, and then we're going to cast on the other end of the, you know, the tail end that we left, the 16 to 18 inches of tail that we left, and we're going to take care of that, and we'll come back and finish these last 2 rows, which is a decrease and a decrease. We already know how to decrease, but we'll do the flowers on it and we'll be all done. I got down to the bottom and I decided to do some things a little differently. So the mouth, I only did the 3 black beads and put the white in between, and then I did that row, and then this row that should have been the finish row, I decided to put some purple and then another row for green. I had some thread left over and didn't want to waste it, so yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go between these 2 beads here. There's a thread, I don't know if you can see it. Sorry, a bridge thread. Whip. Right here. I want to catch that bridge thread right in there. So if I catch this one, it doesn't work as well because it's part of the one that we're pulling down. So I have to go over a bead and try to catch the thread. I did. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to come back up through these 3 beads. Right, and then I'm actually going to take it over and put it up through this bead, and then I'm going to catch the thread here, and I'm going to come back down through that whole row if I can. I'm just flipping it around to make it easier for me to see or feel my way through, and they're getting pretty tight. There we go. I got it through the whole row. You can see that it's coming out the top. Okay, and again, I can catch this. Now this point I'm just catching things and bringing them down. Coming back over. And this I did this side here where I brought it up along the side, and I haven't done this side yet. So I'm trying to come back up this side. So what this is doing is pulling those beads in to make sure they're good and secure on the jawline. And then I'm going to come, I can tie a knot here on the side if I want. for those of you who absolutely adore knots. There you go. And then I'm going to come back down where the teeth are. And I'm going to call it a day. Now this is full of thread. It's not going anywhere. None of this stuff is going anywhere. So that's good. And I would cut this off, and then I flatten. And for those of you who don't know, you just flatten the end with a pair of pliers, or you can use your fingernails to flatten this thread just at the very edge. So it flattens the thread. See how it's less poofy? This one's more roundish looking, and this looks really flat. And then you just thread your needle that way. So see if I can do this with low light. Yep, first time. See? And I bring my needle to the thread rather than my thread to the needle. It makes it easier. So now I have the top on. And now I need to do the 2 rows. So I'm sitting in the wrong place. I need to be sitting, because I have to bring it down 1 row, right? So we do the same as we did before. We bring it through 2 beads, 2 or 3 anyways, whatever works in the situation you are. There, I got it through 2. And then I'm going to bring it back up through the 1. Ta-da! And now it's sitting at the right place. If I flip it over, I can do my next row. So my next row is whatever bead I want for the center of the flower, which I think I am going to throw some green up here because I did the purple green at the bottom. So I'm going to just bring this around. So I'm doing this row. So what I want you to also note is that I'm just basically doing what I feel like. I've picked out the colors. These are all Nightmare on Elm Street colors, kind of colors. Just pick out your colors that you want, and then you just go from there and have fun with this. Sugar skulls, that's why I picked them rather than the traditional sort of pumpkin, or you could just do a white skeleton if you wanted to with just white beads with black. You know, and maybe do a silver bead in the center here, leave this black, and then leave everything else white. It would be fine. You wouldn't have to use all the colors, but I like color. So this is kind of fun. So this comes out on the skull a little bit, the purple. So, and now it's white till the center here. So, and if you make your own pattern, then you sort of know when you need to do what. Right? Because you drew your own pattern out. So I'm going to finish this bead on. And sometimes they don't want to lay right, and what happens is they get twisted up. See how that's twisted? So you just untwist and then pull so that it lays a little bit better. Make sure that thread's going where you want it to. Fling your thing around a little bit. Why not? It's a skull. It can take it. And the other nice thing about this is you sort of get a twofer. Come on, get in there. Because you could use this for the Day of the Dead as well. Kind of cool, huh? So I'm going to continue on. I do this one, I do 1 more row, and then I'll come back to show you how to put that final bead on to be able to go from there. And there is no right side or wrong side to this. It's both the same on both sides. So it just makes this lovely little beaded piece that you can hang or attach together or whatever you like. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have it done to this point, and now I need to add the one last white bead. So I need to bring it down, and this time I'm going to take it and put it through that spot, and I'm going to bring it back up through that final row to the middle bead, which is the middle white one right here. And I'm just going to take 1 white bead, and as you can see I don't have much thread left. This is it. I'm just going to bring this down on my needle a little bit. And I'm going to go back in the white bead the same way it came out. And I'm going to come up, and I'm going to do this twice. So I'm going to go around, play ring around the rosy 2 times. So that's twice in that white bead. That leaves me enough room still for the wire. But it also, I still have to get back down through the other one below. So I need to have enough space to do that. Come back out the bottom. So now I'm just going to work my thread away, and this is secure. Okay, So I'm just going to work my thread away. Well, let's go up this way. I don't like the way that green one's sitting, so this gives me an excuse to how to secure it. So if anything's poking out, you can fix it. Except you don't want to do what I just did, which is stick your thread across all the beads. There we go. And I'm going to bring my needle through some beads. And I'm going to end my thread. Okay. Just cutting it off. And I'll check if there's a little fuzzy. I'll burn it with a lighter, or you can use, if you have a Zap It tool, you're more than welcome to use that. So then I just take a jump ring, and these are my 6mm. The reason I'm using them is they're 22 gauge, so they're really fine. So I can actually open it with my finger on my fingers. They're finer than the bigger ones, and I have really strong fingernails, so for the most part. And this takes a little bit of fiddling, just so you know. It is a bead you're trying to get it through, just like we were putting them on. If you watched any of my previous videos, I put beads on there. So I just had to wiggle it around a little bit, and with these white ones I knew I had enough room. And then I'm just going to close it. Oh. So I just had to grab my other pair of pliers. Make sure I'm good. Sorry, just checking to see that I'm good. So I've closed that all the way. And then I'm just going to take an ear finding. And obviously I don't need 3 earrings in the same, you know, I wouldn't use 3 earrings, but this would give me a choice, I guess, to which one I want to wear. And there's no right side or wrong side, so it doesn't matter even which way I put it on here. I'm just going to close that up and put that together. So I have, there's 3 different ones. So it gives you an idea. And these don't, they lay flat when I'm not being stupid. So I just want to show you, I'll show you my hand here, how much it changes them based on the color of beads that you use. And isn't that fun? I like this one a lot. I like this one. This one looks more like a robot to me. But they're all great, and they'd make a fun, you know, mismatched pair of earrings that I would definitely wear at Halloween time. They would be a topic of conversation. And as I said, you could take them and put another 1 bead here and put them on like this and string them with the thing between, or you could just see how this is the same amount of beads on the bottom as this one. You could just sew them in like this. See if I can hide this underneath this one. So you could sew them in like this, and just keep going and going and going like a little Energizer bunny. Let me see if I can get this to focus better for you guys. There you go. So, you know, then this would be a bracelet that you could wear that would be a hoot at Halloween. You know, this pile of skulls. Now, I told you I was going to measure them for you, so I'm going to grab that out as well. So I'm going to chuck this where you can see it. So they're from the chin. If you do the long chin, there's the 1 inch mark. So it's 1 1/16. 1 1/8. I don't know. Wait a second. That's a half. I have to do my fractions. Half, quarter. Yeah. So, and if you don't have the chin, I'll just move that down. It's literally, before this bead here, it's 1 inch. So from this point to this point, it's 1 inch with 11 O's. So it's not very big. It's not going to be in your face, but I love them. I think they're fun. They're a fun crafting idea to do with bigger beads with your kids. I think it's great. So I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun with this first Halloween craft. I'm going to do, you know, try to do 1 a week until getting closer to Halloween. I have a couple of more ideas that I want to have fun with and play with. So enjoy your sugar skulls and take care and keep on making from Manny's Makings. Bye.